This is part 2 of the video, and what we're going to do is look at some of the accessory organs and then finish with the large intestine. So the first video we went through and talked about the stomach and the oral cavity, the small intestines, and we talked about these accessory organs dumping into the alimentary canal. So we're talking about the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas. So this is a good picture to look at while I go back to the models. Let's do this first. First, you've got your pancreatic duct that's going to be dumping contents ultimately into the duodenum, and you got these two structures: the major duodenal papilla, and the minor. So if you follow my mouse, one of them is going to dump into here, and then you got the accessory pancreatic duct. It's basically an offshoot of the main duct, and so there's two openings there. So remember, the stomach would be here, and so now we got the duodenum. We've cut part of it out so you can see those ducts. And let's see what else. I want to talk about pancreas, but I might as well talk about the liver as well. Something that comes down to the small intestines, it's kind of embedded here in the pancreas, is going to be this one right here, the common bile duct. Well, let's look at the hepatic duct, the common hepatic duct, the cystic duct, the common bile duct. Three things here, and we should know the difference. So I'm actually talking about the pancreas and the liver at the same time. So the common hepatic duct is going to be coming off the liver. The cystic duct is going to be coming from the gallbladder. And then once they exit, they're called the common bile duct. So common hepatic, think about hepatic is in the liver. Hepatic is in the liver. Cystic duct, and then gallbladder. So this is going to store its content. The common hepatic duct is going to be transporting the bile either straight down here, or it's going to come and follow up and store in the cystic duct. The cystic duct is kind of two-way traffic. So let's look. Where do we see? So we've got the pancreatic duct. Right, here's the accessory. See where they dump into it. Then you've got these vessels here. You've got the common hepatic duct here. You have the cystic duct. All right, this would be the hepatic artery. And 7 is the hepatic portal vein, which we'll talk about shortly. Let's just get another view here. So I've been talking about the pancreas and the liver. This is just the spleen. This is the pancreas being removed. So again, this is where the stomach would attach, the pyloric valve. All right, this is just looking. If you're going to take a superior view, here's the hepatic portal vein. So where the mouse is, that's where the liver would be. Okay, you can see it a little better here. And let's go ahead and show. We got, again, the big three, the artery, the hepatic portal vein. If you notice, common hepatic duct, cystic duct, but once we're here, it's called the common bile. It's basically when you're outside of the liver. So, all right. So I'm going to adjust for a second, and then we'll carry on. So now let's look at the models in a little more detail here. And I'm going to show you different views of the liver and just kind of tie it all together. So we were looking at this particular part here, and I mentioned the common bile duct here. Let's go ahead and zoom in. So I kind of took the models out of the torso so you can see here again the pancreas, duodenum, and you can see here's the gallbladder, and there's some parts of the liver that we should also talk about. You got your left lobe, your right lobe, and if you were to flip this up, you're going to see this small structure. So here's left, here's right. Next to the gallbladder is going to be the caudate lobe, and then, I'm sorry, the caudate, and this would be the caudate. Let's go back to the picture and see that. Now, this picture actually flips it around. So if you look, the quadrate is actually next to the gallbladder, and then the caudate is near the vena cava. Now, I say vena cava, I should say hepatic vein. This actually is going to run into the vena cava. And let's look at our pictures here. So this is just, we're looking at this as the anterior view. There's the gallbladder, the lobes. Here's this ligament. Okay, this is the vena cava, so this is the posterior view. And here it is flipped upside down. Again, this would be the caudate next to the gallbladder. So this is actually taking the model and flipping it and reversing it. And one way you know is you see the vena cava is always on the dorsal side. So maybe we've talked about everything from the liver. All right, so what we've taken here is, with this view, we're actually looking at, again, the hepatic artery. This is the hepatic portal vein, and where it's labeled number 5, that will be the common bile duct. Right? It's hepatic duct here, cystic duct, gallbladder. Right? This is the quadrate. This is the caudate. Caudate, again, is near the little, this little structure here near the vena cava. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to the PowerPoint just for a second. So we've been talking about the liver and the pancreas. Well, let's elaborate on that. Let's go back to the pancreas for 1 second. And these ducts here, these ducts that are coming from the pancreas, they are one of the twofold function of the pancreas, which is endocrine and exocrine. So this is exocrine because they're ducts going to an opening. Remember that this is a mucosal membrane technically. It means it's open to the outside world. And you also got blood vessels here, right? So let's look at the pancreas here. Here's another view. Okay, and so now we're looking kind of the micro. These are the things that we expect you to know, but you're going to have to, you're not going to just be able to point at a model and see that. You're not going to see inside the pancreas and see the endocrine cells. The endocrine cells that we have labeled here are the alpha that secrete glycagon and the beta that secrete insulin. So if you follow the products, see, these going to the pancreatic duct, going to the duodenum, they're going to be enzymes for digestion. The accessory also, there's going to be sodium bicarbonate. You're going to raise the pH because of the acidity of the stomach. As the chyme is coming through, you're going to be raising the pH. So that's just a little thing on the endocrine and exocrine. Some other things about the liver. Right? Each one of these lobules, and you got to be able to follow what's going on here. If you look at each one of these lobules, all right, there's a central canal that ultimately goes to the hepatic vein. So I'm going to transition to the hepatic portal system in just 1 second. So we call this the portal triad. You've got the hepatic duct, you've got the hepatic portal vein, you have the hepatic artery. So watch what's going on. The aorta is sending blood through the arteries, A for away. So this hepatic artery is bringing oxygenated blood. Well, the digestive tract, the hepatic portal vein, is getting all this food from the small intestines, and it's going to be coming from the superior mesenteric vein, and it's going to be following, going up here, where it gets to the liver, where it's going to be filtered, ultimately goes out to the vena cava. So what I've just kind of referred to is part of the hepatic portal system, all right? The hepatic portal system, so imagine the small intestines are removed, but if you find the superior mesenteric vein and the inferior mesenteric vein, so they're going to be draining blood. And so inferior is going to be draining from the large intestines, superior is going to be draining from the small intestines, and if you follow them all the way up, they're ultimately going to the hepatic portal vein. Let's go back to the models. Okay, so the hepatic portal vein, right here. Let's get the, okay, so this is the inferior view, but this is the, again, this is the gallbladder. So if you look at number 7, the blood is going in here, and then the vena cava is where it's going to, go to basically the right atrium. But what's happening is you're filtering all this food, there's a lot of glucose, there's a lot of basically the product of digestion is going through there. Right, so large intestine, there's not much for me to show on the model other than to show the ascending, the transverse, the descending. And let's go back to this. Anything about the hepatic circulation is, think about what's going on here. The small intestines, where the digestion, absorption. All right, so let's look at the large intestines and kind of finish this up. Let's start with the ileum, ileocecal valve. Ileocecal valve. There's ileum. This is the pouch called the cecum. And again, you see all these blood vessels that are going through here. So as the product is going in here, you're absorbing a lot of water. If there's 1,500 milliliters of chyme that's here, you're actually going to absorb about 1,300 of it. And so let's follow you're going to condense this down, and basically you're leading to defecation, where you're going to end up into the rectum and be expelled. So we got some other structures here. Let's see what do we have here. So we pointed out these veins here in the video. For the large intestines, we have the ileocecal valve, the cecum, the appendix. You got pretty much all of these. Let's go ahead and pinch here. Microscopically, and apologies, I'm jumping all around here. Microscopically, you'd have to look at the next slide, but this haustra is actually very similar to the circular folds of the small intestines. It's very similar to the rugae of the stomach. Basically, you're trying to increase surface area. So, you can pause real quick. So this haustra is a pouch. It's going to distend and elongate. There's some three muscle layers right here, which you saw in right here. There they are. And the segments: the ascending colon, transverse colon, descending, sigmoid, and then you ultimately here's something about the stomach with the rugae, the circular folds with small intestine. So just put this here just as a little comparison. So you got circular folds, rugae, the haustra. All right, and lastly, just some micro aspects of the large intestines. Just like all of the other ones, you should be able to recognize where the lumen would be, the epithelial layer, the submucosa, the circular muscles, the longitudinal muscles, and then finish with the serosa. And lastly, this is just the idea of identifying these structures. All right, and before we finish, let's go back, look at the models. If there's anything else we should see. All right, and actually, let's look at the descending, the rectum and the descending colon. So you got the descending here, and then here we got there's basically the rectum and anal canal, and it's on the male. You can see it also on the female. And one last view. This is, I took the models out, so here's basically the rectum behind here, and you can see that. And then this is one last picture where you can actually see it, where the large intestines have been removed, but you can see the rectum right there. All right, I think that wraps up everything. Brought to you by Curious Miranda.